The movie begins with a man sitting in a confession booth speaking to a priest. His voice is heavy with emotion as he tells his story. His mother was raped and murdered, and in his grief, he took revenge by killing the man responsible. The priest remains silent. The man, growing uneasy, questions whether the priest is even there. That night, his girlfriend Emma sleeps peacefully in her bed, unaware of the turmoil in his mind. In the next room, his sister Celeste also rests. The next morning, Gabriel, the man from the confession booth, steps outside. His elderly neighbor Bertie complains about his wife taking away his car keys, grumbling about his lost independence. Gabriel listens but doesn't say much. Later, Gabriel, Emma, and Celeste visit Milda, an odd old woman who lives alone. Milda has a strange presence about her. She claims she can sometimes speak to the dead, including Celeste's parents. While the family talks with Milda, her neighbor Joseph approaches Gabriel for a conversation. As he does, Milda glares in his direction, her face twisting with open hatred. She doesn't hide her feelings. She despises Joseph. Late at night, Emma's phone rings. On the other end is a man named Ernesto, a stranger to her. He doesn't explain much, only that he knows Milda. His voice is calm, almost indifferent, as he delivers the shocking news. Milda died earlier that evening. Emma, Celeste, and Gabriel attend the funeral, but when they arrive, they realize they're the only ones there. The small gathering feels eerie, the absence of mourners unsettling. During the eulogy, Emma speaks about the first time Milda died, years ago during a fire at an orphanage that claimed the lives of many children. But unlike the others, Milda was revived. Before she can continue, Ernesto interrupts. He steps forward and formally introduces himself. He isn't just some acquaintance. He's the executor of Milda's estate. Holding a stack of documents, he explains that Emma has inherited everything, but there are unusual conditions attached. He mentions that he and Milda were part of a very exclusive club, though he doesn't elaborate. Then he lists the stipulations. Emma must live in the house, but under no circumstances can Gabriel move in with her. The rule is firm, but with a slight smirk, Ernesto assures them that, as executor, he has the power to overlook certain details. Emma decides to spend the night at the house, despite everything. Gabriel doesn't like the idea, but she insists. When she goes down into the basement, he reacts with real fear. His phobia is obvious. He finally admits why. He once buried his mother and her killer in a basement. That night, Gabriel wakes up to a strange noise. He grabs a knife, his body tense, ready for danger. Emma notices and looks concerned. Gabriel has always been protective, but this feels different. By morning, they decide it's time to leave, but before they can go, Ernesto arrives. He has an offer for Emma, a job at the local gallery. His tone is polite, but something is unsettling about his insistence. It's clear he wants Emma to stay. As Gabriel moves through the house, he finds a collection of old books. The covers are worn, the pages filled with strange symbols. Witchcraft. The old woman had been studying it. Gabriel flips through the pages, a bad feeling growing in his stomach. That night, curiosity gets the best of Celeste. She picks up one of the books and starts reading. As she speaks the words out loud, something shifts in the room. The air feels heavy. In the dim light, a figure lies beside her in bed. Milda. But Milda is dead. The old woman's lifeless body rests next to Celeste, her pale eyes open. In another part of the house, Emma begins acting strangely. She sleepwalks through the halls, her movements stiff and unnatural. When Gabriel tries to wake her, she turns cold toward him. She calls him a danger to them all. She demands he leave the house, return to the apartment, and go back to work. Her words cut deep, but something about them didn't feel like her. Troubled and confused, Gabriel goes to the church, searching for guidance. He speaks to two priests, Father James and Father John. As soon as Father John appears, Father James clams up as if he's hiding something. He wants to tell Gabriel something but holds back. Gabriel senses it but doesn't push. Back at the house, Celeste has another terrifying encounter. She's alone when she feels a presence behind her. Turning slowly, she sees Milda again, the old woman standing unnaturally still, her lifeless eyes staring. Gabriel finally works up the courage to face his fear. He goes home and steps into the basement, his heart pounding. The space is dark and cold, but he forces himself to explore, determined to break free from his past. As he moves through the basement, there's a knock at the door. It's Ernesto. He steps inside, smiling as he tells Gabriel that Celeste has gone back to her apartment. His tone is friendly, but something feels off. Then Ernesto casually suggests that Gabriel should leave too. He even offers to arrange travel for him. Gabriel doesn't trust Ernesto, but he doesn't show it. He stays still, watching. Suddenly, without warning, Ernesto lunges at him with a knife. Gabriel reacts instantly, struggling against him. The fight is fast and brutal. In the chaos, Gabriel manages to grab the knife and in self-defense stabs Ernesto. The man collapses, gasping, then goes still. Blood spreads across the floor. Gabriel panics. He didn't want this. He didn't plan this. But now Ernesto is dead, and Emma could come home at any moment. Thinking quickly, Gabriel dragged Ernesto's body outside and buried him in the yard. His hands shake as he covers the grave, his breath ragged. Later, Emma arrives home. Gabriel listens as she takes a call. His stomach drops when he hears Ernesto's voice on the other end. That's impossible. Ernesto is dead, but Emma is talking to him like everything is normal. Confused and shaken, Gabriel later returns to the burial site. He digs at the ground, desperate to make sense of what's happening. The body is still there. He didn't imagine it. Ernesto is dead. Feeling uneasy, Gabriel tries to call Celeste. The phone crackles with nothing but static. No ringing, no answer, just an eerie, endless hum. When he tells Emma that Celeste might be missing, she looks calm, too calm. Instead of worrying, she warns him not to call the police. Gabriel is beginning to realize he might not be able to trust Emma anymore. Gabriel visits Father John to ask about Milda, but the priest is cold and distant. Instead of answering, he looks Gabriel in the eye and says, "I know exactly who you are." His tone is sharp, almost threatening. Before Gabriel can ask anything else, Father John angrily throws him out of the church. Outside, Father James pulls Gabriel aside. He explains that Father John carries a lot of guilt over what happened to Milda after the fire. James then brings up pentagrams, hinting at dark rituals. Gabriel shows him the old book he found in Milda's house. At first, James laughs it off, calling it nonsense. But then he grows serious. He reveals a disturbing rumor. When Milda died in the fire, she supposedly went to hell, met spirits there, and brought some back with her. James's whole attitude changes. He now believes something evil is at work and insists they need to perform an exorcism. Gabriel rushes home, but when he gets there, he finds the door locked. Emma won't let him in. He bangs on the door, shouting her name. After a long wait, she finally opens it, but something about her seems off. She leads him into the basement, moving in an eerie, trance-like way. Gabriel follows, heart pounding. Suddenly, something unseen grabs him. He's yanked into the darkness, his scream swallowed by the void. The next thing he knows, they're in the car, driving back to their apartment. Strangely, Emma seems normal again, as if nothing happened. She talks to him like everything is fine, but Gabriel can't shake the feeling that something is very, very wrong. Meanwhile, back at the church, Father James walks in on Father John doing something suspicious. Whatever it is, it's clear John shouldn't be doing it. Elsewhere, Emma, now fully possessed by Milda, seeks out Father John. He doesn't seem surprised to see her. He looks like he's been expecting her. He knows exactly what's going on. He's part of the same exclusive club that Ernesto mentioned before. Gabriel, still searching for answers, returns to the church, but when he arrives, he finds a horrible sight. Father James is dead. Gabriel returns to Milda's house, and the entire place feels alive, pulsing with something dark and unnatural. Shadows stretch unnaturally, and the air is thick with an eerie energy. Inside, Emma is waiting for him, but this isn't the Emma he knows. Her eyes are cold, filled with pure hatred. Without hesitation, she lunges at him, trying to kill him. Gabriel struggles to fight back, but she's unnaturally strong. Just when it seems like she has the upper hand, her neighbor Joseph suddenly bursts in from nowhere and knocks her out. Gabriel doesn't waste time. He grabs a torch, lighting up the darkness, and heads straight for the basement. But this isn't just any basement. It seems endless, twisting into something much larger than the house itself. Every step feels like he's sinking deeper into something not of this world. At the bottom, he finds Milda. She looks ancient, but very much alive. She watches him with a knowing smile and calmly explains what she's done. When she died in the fire long ago, she didn't just go to hell, she brought something back with her. Spirits of the dead cling to her, whispering in the shadows, waiting for their chance to return. Gabriel doesn't hesitate. He swings a hammer straight at her, striking her hard. But before he can finish the job, Emma stabs him. Pain shoots through him, but it's not fatal. He staggers back, gripping the wound as Emma starts chanting. She's performing the ritual. Gabriel realizes that Milda's true goal isn't just possession. It's to take over Emma permanently. If she succeeds, Emma will be lost forever. Thinking fast, Gabriel grabs his knife and slices his palm. He draws a pentagram in his blood, chanting words he barely understands. The moment the symbol is complete, everything shifts. A terrible screech fills the room. The spell is broken. Milda's plan fails. Back at the church, something dark slithers toward Father John. Instead of fearing it, he welcomes it. His face twists into a wicked smile.